Hello and welcome to Worthy Woman Healing Podcast. I am Lisa Czak, your host, along with my beautiful daughter, Eliana Faith. Today, we're doing a special live stream because I want to introduce all of you to this incredible woman that I met by chance, right? It's so funny. Jamie Lee, who is a health coach and the founder of Alternative Healthcare Solutions. We are doing a collaboration. As you know, we deal with trauma, right? So I went through 6 years of infertility treatments, got my beautiful daughter here on the 11th IVF. 11, yeah. She was a poor quality frozen embryo, said that she would never even survive the thaw, and yet here she is, right? So Jamie contacted me about collaborating because she happens to be doing this big event around infertility, fertility, and the identity shift that happens when you find out that you're infertile, right? And I can't think of anything more traumatic than finding out you're not going to have a magical night of baby making sex to conceive a child. So, Jamie, hello and welcome. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's super great. I love what you're doing. This is fantastic. And I love that we're collaborating. This is a fantastic collaboration. I'm so thankful that you were put in my path.
Me too. I was literally thanking God. I said, "Wow, God, you just dropped her from the sky." And I
Anna.
love, why don't you tell everyone, start by telling everyone, how did you even come up with this topic of infertility, fertility, and the identity shift that happens?
Yeah. So let me be completely honest and transparent about this. So first of all, let me give you a little bit of backstory and I can't talk today, and prepare you for what we're about to do. But we have the Alternative Healthcare Solutions is a collective of practitioners that are bringing together different healing techniques and modalities to really bring about that healing that goes beyond conventional medicine. And so we are really passionate about giving you different options, giving you support, really listening to you and helping that complete transformation. Alternative Healthcare Solutions, we believe in full transformation. We believe in that complete healing process. And we also believe in empowering our audience to do that themselves. So we really, focus on educating and bringing awareness and bringing those options to find those things that resonate with you. So that being said, we have throughout the year themed our events every month. And we pick a topic that we are feeling really passionate about during that time. And we focus on that. And we've done everything from narcissistic abuse to chronic pain, to the healthy child, you name it, whatever, we are feeling that month, we really focus on that. And then our practitioners, whatever modality they use, whether it's mindset, emotion code therapy, hypnosis, whatever it may be, they bring to the table how they work with clients through that thing that they're dealing with, that problem that they're going through. So that's kind of how we operate. So this theme, I'll be totally honest with you. So I was racking my brains going, what theme this time? Like, I'm trying to figure out, what it is. And I don't know if you've ever done muscle testing, but that's probably a whole nother episode, right? But I was really feeling like I had like 3 different topics of what could we talk about. And it was infertility and I think autoimmune and something, which we'll do autoimmune later, but it was autoimmune and something else. And I muscle tested them and everything said no. And I, this whole IVF and infertility came up as a strong yes. And I'm like, that's really weird. I'm 7 months pregnant and this is what you want me to talk about.
Wait a minute. You're not just 7 months pregnant. You're 7 months pregnant with, what baby are you on right now, Jamie?
Baby number 8.
Yeah, you heard that right. Baby number 8.
Yep. Yeah.
This is divine intervention. This is God saying, girl, this is what I want you to do.
Yeah.
Yes, but I feel like that, oh gosh, just like coming up was like, who am I to talk about this? Like,
Well, now wait a minute. Who are you to talk about this? Because I
yeah,
learned things when when we interviewed a couple days ago about you. You actually have experienced.
I have.
So,
Yeah.
want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I have had 5 miscarriages. And my story may be somewhat triggering for people. So, just brace yourselves. But yeah, the last 2 miscarriages that I had were probably the worst. My body just would not release the baby. My body was perfectly healthy and said, "We're pregnant. We got to eat like we're pregnant. We got to, do everything like we're pregnant." But we'd found that the baby had stopped developing, never developed a heart. And it was the second time, and this miscarriage was literally like going through labor. It was very traumatic, very difficult. My husband wasn't home, and honestly, we didn't tell our children that we were pregnant because we weren't ready to tell them. And so, in the midst of my kids being in the other room, I'm in the bathroom by myself having a miscarriage, like just writhing in pain and trying to be quiet and scared, and all of these
Mhm.
emotions happening, and honestly feeling like, okay, why are we even going through this process again? Like, I'm blessed, I have 7 children. But my husband and we have been both previously married for 20 years and divorced, and he has 4 children from that marriage, and I have 7 children from my previous marriage. And we just really wanted a new beginning together, and there's pieces of each other that we really feel like has brought about healing, just being together. And this was one area that we both needed healing in from our past marriages. And so that's why we wanted to have a baby. And really just the idea of the process of having a baby at our age, because I'm 44, was just like, I feel confident in that. I'm not insecure in who I am. I feel like, this is a good season to do this. This is like the end of a season for me to have a baby again. So there was all sorts of these emotions going up and down. And then just going through the miscarriage was very difficult. So then we ended up conceiving this one, and I found out on Valentine's Day. So
Huh.
my husband is so funny because we had like told each other we're not getting each other anything for Valentine's Day. Like, we're not doing that this year, like, because we were trying to save for Hawaii. We were taking all of our kids to Hawaii. So we were like, for like 2 weeks. So we're like, okay, 2 weeks in Hawaii is our Valentine's Day present. Like, that's all of that. So on Valentine's Day, I found out I was pregnant, and I'm like, okay, so I got you something. He's like so mad at me. He's like, you said you wouldn't. We weren't supposed to do that. You're making me feel like a failure. And I'm like, well, technically, you gave it to me too. So, but yeah, so my story is not without pain, and my journey is not without trials, of course. But I do really have that heart for women who have struggled with infertility. And to be honest, I'm a nutritional health coach. There's been a couple of times where I joke that I've accidentally got my clients pregnant. And everybody's like, well, that's not really, I'm like, I know. But anyways, but
True though.
putting the body into a healing state is kind of what I focus on. And when your body is in a healing
Mhm.
state and it starts to repair itself, then you're able to conceive easier. So I've had 2 women so far that have gotten pregnant on my protocol. And a lot of that, I know it's incredible, but what I do is I help people reverse autoimmune diseases. Autoimmune will actually attack the sperm anytime you're trying to get pregnant. So if you have an autoimmune condition,
Mhm.
it's attacking the sperm, and causing more of that infertility. So yeah, so I am passionate about giving people the desires of their hearts, and putting them on the path that they want to be on. But this one just was just a little shocking for me, and maybe it's because I need some healing to go through as well. But that's always seems to be the case. As I've launched this business and ran alternative healthcare solutions, I've really found that whatever the theme may be, it's either a memorial stone for me, how I once was in chronic pain and I'm not, and how to bring that deliverance for others. Or it is something that I have deep wounds and need an event to go through to be able to experience it. So really, the alternative healthcare solution is a very self-centered business of mine. I'm just kidding. But it's really
That's good. I feel like that's why you're so good at what you do, also because you've been through it, right? It's hard to help someone if you haven't been through it. If you've been through it, you really have a different level of compassion and empathy, and they feel like you're reading their minds. You probably hear that, maybe, right?
Yep.
My mind, like, how do you know that? And I just want to touch on the autoimmune thing. Long after we had this miracle child, we found out my husband had Hashimoto's,
Yep.
which is a thyroid disorder. And our main problem was male factor.
Yep.
And so it's like, oh, okay, wow. And then we thought, okay, after we, put him on the thyroid medication, we were going to be one of those ones that just, had a magical night and boom, out came this, natural pregnancy. It never happened that way for us. But that's a whole nother level of infertility, right? That it's like that wish that, well, you never know, maybe it'll just happen, because we did find that out. I wanted to ask you, you said you were 44 when you got pregnant with the baby you're currently pregnant with, right? Did you do assisted reproduction for this child?
No.
So that's important, because I want people to hear that it is possible, right? Because as we know, they make women very nervous, right? I remember when I turned 30, I started when I was 28. I turned 30 and the doctors are like, you're getting up there in age. I had her when I was 33 and I was considered advanced maternal age, according to traditional medicine. Do you know what that does to it? Like, you feel pressure. So I want everyone to hear that, right? That after miscarriages, right, after losing babies, let's just call it what it is. We talked about this when I was interviewing with you. Let's just let's not sanitize it by calling it miscarriage, right? You lost babies, and now at 44, you were able to get pregnant, conceive on your own. So hope, like, I like to shine a light on hope for women, right?
Yes.
Thrown in the towel because, I'm this age or that age.
Yeah. There's research to prove that women who give birth or that conceive and give birth after the age of 40, it actually increases their probability for living to 100. Wow. Tell me that doesn't say something about our bodies. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. Yeah, it is. So, and it decreases your chances for cancers, all sorts of cancers, your breast cancer and others. So there's a lot that happens in a woman's body that I still believe that we're designed, we're designed to heal, we're designed to create life. And honestly, I think that there's a real attack on the womb today in society. There's a massive attack on the womb. And there's a lot that we're up against with that. Everything from women's rights to, everything else, just all across the board. We have to view this as sacred and not the curse of Eve, or, the type of stigma and dogma that we put around our periods or our cycles, things of that nature. Like, this is a precious organ in our body that is for generations. And so, and I know so I'm basically getting my doctorate. I'm getting my doctorate in quantum healing, and a lot of that goes into the emotions of healing as well, all the way down to a quantum level. And our minds are so powerful when we focus on we can't, or my body is, in a negative state. Your body resonates with that, and it doesn't know the difference, and it just stays in that negative state. But when we life, which if you go back to the word and how the word is spoken, and the word has life. Like when we speak that life over our bodies begin to live, our bodies begin to thrive. But our mind has to be there. But you're right, the doctors put so much fear. You're a geriatric nurse. I mean, you're
years old. You'll
sorry.
never amount to anything.
Yeah,
You're old, mother.
yeah,
And I love what you said about the word, because Eliana is the worthy woman healing. She handles all the ministry part, right? When we do retreats, when we have our groups, she does prayer over the women
beautiful.
because of what you said, right? Because this is the truth of what we have. All these lies in our head, but this is the truth of who God says you are.
Yes.
And I mean, you can speak more to the praying over women. I don't feel like I have that gift. My gift is more the healing, the emotions, what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like physical symptoms, most physical symptoms have like some kind of emotional wound attached to it. And until you heal that wound, right? Especially in autoimmune, I'm sure, right? We could talk all day about that. But
Yeah.
Ellen, we want to just talk about what you do to help the women.
Yeah. They just come and they'll tell us what's going on, and then through the Lord, I pray over them and whatever their situation is, and pray healing and peace over them. And it's just really powerful to, bring this, because He's our ultimate healer, and to help them bring everything that they're going through to Him in that moment. And it's just so powerful to see, like, to just pray over them, because you can pray over yourself, but to else pray over you, see how they soften, and see the healing that happens within a couple of minutes, is really powerful and beautiful.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And I think we also have to be in a state of receiving. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have too. I know that for a long time I struggled with receiving. And so there was a time where, going through some crisis in my it's almost like a past life. It feels like a past life by this time. But feeling those struggles. And one day I finally just sat with God and I was like, look, either you are who you say you are. You are the healer, the provider, and I'm a daughter of the King. If this is true, you're either treating your daughter like crap because I'm in poverty here and I don't have the blessings, or I have a problem receiving.
I wonder which one it was.
So I said, look, here's what it is how this is gonna go down. I love the way I'm like bargaining with God and like telling him what for. But anyways, I was just in that mindset. And I said, I am just going to enter into a season of receiving. I'm gonna receive everything that you have. And it was little changes in my conversations. Like, for example, my conversations would be, my daughter would come to me and say, I really want to do ballet lessons. And I would say, oh, we can't afford that. So I'm already negating any kind of blessings that was about to be poured over me, right? Because I just stopped it right in its tracks and said, we can't afford that. Instead of aligning with the vision and the desires that the Lord put in my heart and saying, all right, I want that for you too. Let's see how the Lord provides.
I have chills. I have such chills right now. I hope moms really hear that, right? That
Yeah.
what you just said is, and dads too. A lot of dads. There's a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I don't know if you ever
Love
read
it. Oh,
it.
yeah.
It's a great book, because it's that premise, what you just said. Instead of saying we can't afford it, say, okay, I want that for you too. How can we go about getting that?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just a mind shift, and our body aligns with that. So when they're going through the struggles of, the pregnancy, it takes that complete alignment in our minds and our bodies. My body is healed. My body is fully capable of carrying this child. My body is beautifully and wonderfully made, going through and aligning those emotions and the beliefs, even though it hasn't come to fruit yet. So, for example, Abraham, right? His name was Abram, and he didn't have any children. And God literally changed his name to Abraham, father of many nations, when he didn't have children. He didn't have any.
Oh,
and
I read that scripture over and over. I read that story in the book. And I didn't even read the Bible back then. I did not. I believed in God and Jesus, but I was not a Bible reader.
Yeah.
That story I read over and over again.
Right?
And
But he spoke it over him. And then,
him.
yes, he spoke it over him. But what else the other thing that he did is he made everyone else in his life speak it over him as well. Because everybody in his life started to call him Abraham instead of Abram. So they all spoke that over him, and that is how he became. And it's, and before he became that. So, I really believe that as well, that is the power that has been put in us to be able to speak those frequencies. And I do a lot of frequency work. We do a lot of, our body is completely made of frequencies. And so I do a lot of frequency adjusting and correcting in our bodies with some resources that I have, machines that are powerful machines that adjust those frequencies. But, you start to get back into realizing those frequencies create life in us, right? And I really think it's because of the foundations of the earth. When he created the earth, how did he create it? He created it with a spoken word. That was frequencies. So out of that, they were made out of frequencies by creating that life. And so the power of our tongue and our word is so powerful on those frequencies. There's lots of studies out there to go and show, the power of our bodies and the power of, the emotions, the frequencies that were spoken over our body, and how water contains those frequencies and memorizes those frequencies. There's some really cool studies out there on that. It's just powerful to have how we were created. And so, yeah, like I said, I kind of go back to, I believe in complete healing. I believe in complete transformation. And this is definitely an area I think that women need support, but not only women, but men too. They really need that support. When I kind of mentioned that before, that we totally overlook the identity crisis that men go through when we're going through this process, because right now it's about us, because we're emotional and we've got hormones going through our body, and our body's not able to produce what we're wanting it to produce. And so there's so much that we're focusing on us, and we just need to demand from them. And they really have that same power and that same authority in their own lives. And that when you get into alignment and agreement, that's where some magical things can happen.
I love what you said about Abraham, how everyone around him needed to speak that over him.
Yeah.
That really struck a chord with me, because at one point, trying to conceive all these things, people around me kind of left me. I say that I became a mother long before I even conceived her, right? I bought mothering books, parenting books. I went to breastfeeding support groups so that I could learn what I was doing. I acted as though I was already a mom, basically, for 6 years. But people around me, it was so hard for them to see me go through one cycle after another. And it was like, you need to stop. You need to, just maybe accept the fact that you're not going to be a mom. And I would get so mad because I knew she was out there.
Yeah.
I can't describe how, I knew it. I knew my baby was waiting for me. It's like, it was almost like she was a missing person I had to find. Like that was I had laser sharp focus. So I never even caught that. All those times that I read that story about Abraham, I've never even caught that part of it. And I'm going to go back and read it again, because I think that's important for people watching also who want to support. How do you support someone that you love, right? That's going through infertility, that's lost a baby or babies, multiple, right? How do you support them? Because I don't think a lot of people know. They have good intentions, but they don't know how to actually support the people that are going, the women and the men that are going through this. And especially what you were saying about the men, right? Men don't want to talk. As women, we talk about periods and everything, right? We're always talking. Men do not want to talk about the fact that their sperm is deformed, or they don't have enough sperm, or or they cannot get their wife pregnant. That's the way they look at it. So we'll have Denny on during the when we were talking on Saturday, right?
Yep.
and Eliana is on. So Eliana, is this weird for you to, like, you're sitting here? So she was a poor quality frozen embryo that was never supposed to make it, right? Here she is, proof that doctors don't know everything. Is this weird for you to even be sitting here in this conversation?
No, because I mean, since I can remember, you and Dad have talked to me about my conception. I've seen the birth video multiple times. I've seen all the pictures of my ultrasound. The first time I think I asked like the semblance of the question how babies are made, it was explained to me how I was made in the petri dish. And then the sperm and the egg and everything. And then I remember Nana, she was like, you actually have to make sure that you explain to her how babies are like naturally made too.
My mom was so she's gonna think that sex doesn't lead to babies. She's gonna think that you just go to a doctor to have babies. And like, I have a scrapbook of her as a blastocyst. How many kids can say,
yeah,
this is me
I
as
know
a
what I look
blastocyst?
like. Yep.
I still have the petri dish that she was conceived in.
I didn't know.
I do, somewhere around here.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You know, I have my neighbors. I'm going to just tell a quick funny story because it's so funny to me. My neighbors are a homeschooling family, and they live on a farm. They, you know, do the pigs and goats and, you know, the whole nine, and they got a bunch of boys, and they announced they were pregnant. And I think he was maybe 4 or 5-year-old, looks at him and he was like, wait, who bred you? He knows we breed the cows, we breed the dog, goats. He's like, wait, who bred you?
Do that? Yeah, like that's his norm. That's what.
That's his norm. Yeah, for sure. Well, you know, I've got a question for you, Eliana. Like, stop my phone here. Your mom has said this multiple times, like just in the 2 broadcasts that we had. She's talked about how you were a low quality IVF baby. Has that like played a part in your emotional? I mean, the power in our words. Does that empower you, or does that make you feel less than or other than?
Good question.
Oh, that is a good question. I think it empowers me because even though I was a poor quality embryo and the doctors were trying to dissuade her from like doing anything, she still chose to fight for me and bring me into the world. And so that tells me that like God wanted me here and that she saw that and saw my worth even though I was just a little poor quality embryo.
I love it. That's beautiful. I think that's key as women too, that we have to see that. You know, when I talked earlier about the attack on the womb, when I was a kid, we did a science experiment. We had all of these chick eggs that we were incubating, and we divided them in half. We had this half over here, didn't have any names. They were just plain eggs. And then this half over here, we gave names. It was like Bob, Gertrude, Martha, like we gave all these eggs, you know, names. And as we watched, we were more excited to watch the babies with the chicks with names. We're like, oh, did you see that? Bob's moving, you know, or oh my gosh, we lost Martha, you know, but we were so like just drawn to the life there and having that name and that connection. But the ones that didn't have names, it was just like, oh, that one died, that one didn't make it, and just tossed it. And you know, I really think that, you know, that is such a powerful example of how we go through this. And it's, to me, is what shows what you did. You went through this process of really identifying that as your child and allowed your body to go through the mourning process over the children that you lost, and really going through and seeing it as treasured life. And I think that that's the testament that you guys have together. And she feels that value as a young woman. You know, it's just beautiful.
I love what you said about the names, because I didn't even think about that. From the second we conceived her, I named her. Well, her first name was Akuna Matata. Because I was like saying, I don't want to worry about this. I don't want to worry about it. I want to enjoy being pregnant, right? And
Yeah.
then we were going to name her Emelina.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that came from. So she had like, and then finally she was born. It was at the last minute too. Like the day before my water broke, I said to Denny, look at this name. It's Eliana. It means God has answered our prayers.
Yeah.
I was like, she's got to be an Eliana. And then Faith, of course, it's got to be Faith. So that's so interesting that you say that. And absolutely, like, we had a baby boy that we lost and we named him Dublin, like what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I always say that that was your embryo angel because we started off with 2 in there and 2 sacs. And then we went back for the heartbeat and there was just 1 heartbeat and never bled, never miscarried. But I am convinced you had a little, Dublin was in there, little embryo angel, big brother looking over you. And that's also a coping thing for me too, right? For me, I had to frame it in a way that would help me.
Yeah.
Because I needed to focus on also all my energy on growing her, right? Inside being healthy and, get in the right state of mind. Like you were saying, it's all about, and I just want to say to women out there, the reason I also always emphasize that, they said that she was a poor quality embryo, right? That wasn't going to make it. Doctors don't know everything. Mm-hmm. What you don't know is the cycle before that. We had to sign a waiver because they said the embryos were stellar quality embryos. 3 of them, they did not want to put them in me because they said I was going to have triplets. They made us sign a waiver saying that we were okay having triplets. Nothing came of that pregnancy. Nothing.
Wow.
I mean, it just goes to show you doctors don't know everything.
Right. Yeah. So powerful. Yeah. And it also shows that the power is beyond us. It is something much greater and much beyond us. So super powerful. Well, we're going to be talking about a lot of these things at our virtual health fair on July 27th, which I'm super excited to have you on there. I believe the event opens up at 8:00 a.m. Central Standard Time, but you're coming on at 9, so people can join anytime. There are workshops throughout the entire day, every hour on the hour, pretty much, of practitioners that are really addressing different sides of the healing process. But you guys are going to be there, and Eliana is going to be praying over people. And I think we're going to we'll probably have some sort of group type of prayer type of thing. But then if people want to pray with you individually, there is in the software, there is a private call that you can go on and one-to-one and do prayers there as well. Super powerful. And this event is normally $35 to attend. But if you are one of our community members, which is $35 a month, you get in for free. Or if you use the coupon code WORTHY, all caps, you get in for just $1. So I should have turned my phone off. I'm so sorry. It's going to be such a great experience. I really think that this is going to be a powerful resource. And if you're watching this after the event has ended, all of these workshops that we do and our main speakers, they all go into our community. So you can access that community for just $35 a month. And like I said, you get access to all of our events, and all of the replays are in that space for resources for people to dive into their healing journey.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on and for having us as speakers on Saturday. I can't wait. I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
This is something I would have wanted when we were going through it. And to have someone pray over me, especially a baby that was conceived that way, there's something very powerful about that.
Powerful.
So yeah, I absolutely love that. So thanks again, Jamie, for coming on, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah.
All right. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much. All right. Bye-bye.